Hi everyone. So the person that I decided to interview for this project was one of my high school friends. He and I know a lot about each other and we grew up together, but our backgrounds and our identities today are very different from one another. So I know a lot about him from a relationship standpoint, but as for a background standpoint, I didn't know a whole bunch about his history. So I decided to sit down with him and have a conversation about what makes him who he is now. And so, first of all, his name is Giancarlo Gonzalez, and he goes by the name Gianni. Um, our backgrounds are very different. First of all, we grew up right down the road from one another, but that's about the only thing that you'll see that's the same between us. Um, his parents are, well, his mother is Italian and she grew up in Ohio, but her whole family was Italian. Gianni's dad is Colombian and he was born and raised in Colombia and moved to the US later on in life. And so I think that just has the biggest impact on how Gianni handles his life now and how that has made him who he is today. So, one of the biggest things that kind of set him off on a different track in life was the fact that as he was learning English, he was also learning Spanish. His whole father's side of the family only speaks Spanish. And so this really gave him a different idea of different cultures from a very early life. Like, as for me, and most likely most of you, our families speak one language, or at least know English, and we can communicate to one another in that way. But with his family, that's not the case. So that was definitely something that set him apart from an early age. And also, there are different traditions that center around being Colombian and Italian. One good example that Gianni gave me was respect for your parents is a huge part of Colombian culture. And that was something that he was taught early on. And, for you and me being raised in America, yes, we are supposed to respect our parents, but we're not going to outwardly show it in a way by saying maybe yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. With Gianni's family, anytime he communicates to his father or his mother, he has to say, yes, Papa, I'll be happy to do that. Or, yes, Mommy, I'll be okay to do that. It's much more of a, yes, I want to serve you, and yes, I'm going to do whatever I can to help you, instead of just, oh, yeah, sure, I'll get to it eventually, how many of us might communicate to our parents. Another thing that really surprised me was, how being so diverse in his ethnicity brought him to want to be very liberal later on in life. So, what I mean by that is, first of all, his school is Ohio University. And if you know anything about Ohio University, it's a very large campus with very liberal views and a very liberal population, and that's where he thrives. He absolutely loves it there. Whereas, like me, on the other hand, I would much rather prefer a small Campbellsville kind of school where everyone knows everybody and there aren't as many liberal views going on. Gianni also has a different idea of wanting to fight for liberal rights and really stand up for the groups that kind of get discriminated, and he sees that in his own life because, well, first of all, he's foreign or he's from foreign descent, so he gets discrimination throughout his life. And then he says that it's never been a huge thing that really impacted him immensely, but he can tell that he's a little different than everyone else. And he usually gets that from strangers who look at him weird, or in school when you talk about what your home life is like, people think that, oh, that's different. Oh, that's weird. I don't like that. So he feels that himself. And to add on top of that, he's also homosexual, which also plays into how he handles things, how he views things, and also it just makes him feel even more less of a person because of how society is today. And I know that makes him want to push for these rights even more and be even more active and outward about his opinions and where he stands. And whereas I know with me, like the family that I grew up with, we're going to stand up for what's right, but we might not be as outward about it. So I thought that was a huge difference that I hadn't really thought of before. He also shows his liberal tendencies and expressions through his hobbies, and he enjoys, painting and doing art, whereas this really does show where he stands in life. One of his favorite things is painting pictures of drag models. He really enjoys the drag idea and way of expression where you can show, yes, I am a man, but I also find dressing as a woman very attractive. So I thought all of that was very different and it was really interesting to me. And I hope that this is kind of eye-opening to you guys as well. And maybe you'll second guess, staring at someone oddly when you're in the store or wanting to push someone away just because they have different views or a mentality than you do. So thank you.